Blog Talk Radio.
Show, the place to share your books and stories about your life. Last time we had a conversation about how our life depends on us and how our thoughts and actions are important part of achieving our dreams. Today we have another author. Her name is Mandy Trouten, and she is here today to share her book titled Maybe Today. Mandy Trouten lives in South Carolina, where she was born and raised. She graduated from ITT Technical Institute with a degree in computer design and drafting, later returning for another degree in multimedia. She loves to read, write, create graphics, watch movies, play online games, hang out with family members, friends, and network. More than anything, she enjoys helping victims, survivors of abuse, in their path to healing. She has always said she would undo the abuse and its effects in a heartbeat, but she is grateful for the opportunity God gave her to use her experience. She grew up hearing that there is a silver lining to every cloud, and she used to think, not this one. In time, she realized, not this one yet. If she had never had to experience the undeserved attentions of classmates, her life might have been normal. She might have gotten the career in architecture that she always dreamed of, but she would not be a part of the fight against abuse because she would know nothing about it. That's her silver lining. So, hi, Mandy Trouten. How are you today?
I'm good, Diana. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for being on my show. So, can you tell us about your book and what are you trying to achieve with the message inside?
Maybe Today is a fictional novel about a Christian teenager who moves to a new county, new school district, and experiences peer sexual abuse for the first time. She's been bullied all her life, off and on, but this particular experience is different. It seems more personal. And where in the past, for the most part, teachers and other adults would do something about it, if intermittently. In this new school, with this issue, it goes virtually unignored. She'll be targeted right there in front of teachers, in the classroom, in the hallways, in the cafeteria, outside, everywhere, just like many students are in real life, and they will do nothing about it. She'll ask for help, but they'll do nothing. She's even been blamed and threatened by more than one individual. And incidentally, she is forced to find a solution on her own. Maybe Today is based in part on my life and on 3 lawsuits that I came across while researching for a paper in college. It is fictional, but at the same time, it's based heavily on real life. I'm hoping to encourage readers, whatever part of the dynamic they may be part of, whether they're victims, survivors, current or past, bystanders, even perpetrators. I'd like the ignorance among perpetrators to realize just how harmful their behavior is and actually stop. Even though, of course, I know that a rather large portion of perpetrators are not ignorant. They know what they're doing. They know it. They know it's harmful. But the book itself is for everybody else. It's also for schools. I'd like school educators especially and parents to read Maybe Today and see what it is they're ignoring and see that there is a proposed solution in the book for how they can handle peer sexual abuse.
So, what sexual violence is exactly? Can you explain to us?
Sexual violence is, as it concerns teenagers, it runs the whole gambit, just as it would with adults in society. In high schools, I think it's much more prevalent to focus on sexual harassment, verbal sexual abuse, implied assault, more so than actual contact, because we as a society place so much emphasis on physical contact. If a person threatens to grab you and they reach for you but they don't actually touch you, they're viewed as being jerks and immature, and not a whole lot is done about it, if anything at all. If the person actually touches you in a private place, then it's generally handled as being sexual assault. I think most teenagers know this. They know that one will get them in a boatload of trouble, whereas the other one will get them merely frowned at and chastised. So they take full advantage of doing the one over the other, knowing that they can accomplish all the same results with far fewer consequences. Then there are those who move from verbal and psychological sexual harassment and implied physical sexual harassment and even physical contact, but not with private places. It's like they will touch you on your shoulder or on your neck, your back, your arm, your leg, other, quote, non-private, end quote, places in a very suggestive manner, like you would do between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, because they know that, again, that kind of sexual assault is viewed as immature and being a jerk, whereas if they actually did any kind of contact with your rear or with genitalia, it would be viewed as sexual assault and punishable as such, as a rule. Again, they know this. Those who move beyond that to what the law recognizes as sexual assault would generally only do it in private or when they are completely and totally certain that those around them will not do anything about it. And there are documented cases where students have been raped at school and at home. Like a friend of mine, whom I would never name in public without her permission, was raped at home by a classmate her senior year. When she went and talked to the school about it, they told her, "No, we can't do anything about that," which was a complete false-faced lie. By the terms of Title IX of the U.S. Department of Education, they were required to separate their schedules and contact the police and participate in any way necessary to help the police in an investigation. Instead, what they told her was, "There's nothing that can be done about that." And they told her this in front of him. They did not even separate their schedules. This is the kind of ignorance that I hope to address in schools.
Dating. That's so sad. Yeah. I can imagine how many girls have been raped probably or abused verbally, and they fear to share because they don't think they're going to receive the kind of attention they should receive. So my next question is, how do you think things could be stopped?
It's actually very simple, honestly. All people have to do is pay attention. The students inherently know. As you remember from high school, probably, hearing teenagers talk about each other, talk about what's going on, who did what, who needs to leave so-and-so alone before they get in real trouble, that kind of thing. I heard those rumors, that talking every day of high school. The students knew what was going on. They knew nearly every detail of what was going on, if not exactly what they were seeing. In the same way, or for that reason, I have no reason to believe that the adults didn't also know. So I think what we need to do to stop sexual abuse in schools is to educate ourselves on what we're seeing, which is not the same thing as the more common view of educating victims on what they're going through and how they don't have to put up with it. We need to educate adults on what they are seeing, what they are hearing, what it means. Adults need to use their eyes and their ears, pay attention to what's happening right in front of them, because it's not like it's really that secretive. Like it's really all taking place in private, away from the teachers. Teachers are everywhere. Therefore, it's happening in front of teachers because it happens everywhere. So really what they need to do is see what's happening, hear what's happening, and have an actual set procedure in place for how to handle it. And then after the adults are all on the same page for how they need to handle it and how they're going to handle it, they need to hold an assembly for the students so the students understand what it is, why it's harmful, why it's not acceptable, and how they therefore should approach the adults when something happens so that the adults can actually do something about it. I think in most cases now what schools have is a weak policy, an extremely weak policy, and practically non-existent procedure, and a focus on what students need to do to stop sexual abuse. But then the same students go and talk to the adults about it, and virtually nothing gets done because the adults are not trained in how to handle peer sexual abuse. This is why we need to focus more on the adults and then on the students, instead of focusing on the students as if the adults already have everything in place, because the adults, as a rule, do not have everything in place.
It sounds to me like the students are very fearful to share their stories because they don't know to whom they'll be able to trust, and there is a trust issue here, and I don't know how they'll be able to overcome this. It should be someone they can trust. And probably if they bring their parents and they get more involved in this kind of situation, because I'm sure every parent can recognize when there is something wrong with their children. They're the ones who should pay more attention. Do you think
Absolutely.
This will make a change, and probably parents would go and talk to the teacher or principal in school and find a way to stop this kind of violence, I can say?
I think parents are, as a whole, as ignorant as teachers are when it comes to peer abuse, especially among teenagers. It's an all too common belief that teenagers automatically go through raging hormones and wild, unexplainable periods of normalcy and then extreme anger and responding irately to things for seemingly no reason, or mood swings and the like. And, yeah, teenagers do have hormone and emotional problems, but at the same time, if you have an otherwise good relationship with your teen and suddenly there's a mood shift, you as a parent should ask what's going on. Stop what you're doing, turn the TV off, hit mute, whatever, and devote your attention to finding out what's going on with your kids. And when you find out what's going on, go talk to the school. Don't tell your kid what they need to do. You need to go to the school with the students and talk with the adults. Because believe me, if the average teen knew that they could just approach the assistant principal or the principal and tell them what's going on in full detail and ask for help, I think the average teenager would have done it already. But most teenagers don't know this. Most kids don't know this. And yes, most people, girls and boys, are fearful of the consequences of speaking out. Not just the consequences of their peers, but the consequences from the adults. They fear being blamed and criticized. They fear being accused of making stuff up, of calling it sexual harassment when it's just flirting. Because, of course, teens, the victim knows it's not just flirting, but the adults may not, other students may not. And to not be believed is a very real fear.